Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech protected.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty.
Good morning, Bellows Falls and Rockingham. It's Mike and Marty. We're here today on the feed. It's October 26th. Fall is definitely falling. We're working towards stick season really fast. Sort of a rainy, dreary day today.
Yes.
But we're here with Millie Barry, and she's going to tell us about side judging and what they do in the court, and then also about what she's running to be an assistant. What's the exact title?
It's an assistant judge, sometimes referred to as a side judge.
Assistant judge or side judge. See, she's already educating. She's been educating me all morning, and she's going to talk about what they do and then why she wants to be one and how she'll do. But first, Marty, with local events.
Okay, at the Bellows Falls Opera House this weekend is the second week for Black Adam. It's going to be playing through till November 1st. I haven't heard any feedback on it,
Neither
but
have
I imagine it's the classic Marvel, all the
DC,
Marvel
I
movie.
think.
DC. Oh, DC.
That's the only thing I've heard. DC.
Oh, I don't know the difference. The classic movie this week is Christine. Now that one I've heard of and seen, and it just to make a shout out, it is an R-rated movie. They do like to emphasize when it's an R-rated movie, and that's sponsored by JP Trucking. November 10th, we are having the Comedy Divas come again to the Bellows Falls Opera House. It's a benefit for the Greater Falls Regional Chamber of Commerce, and you can get tickets on the Bellows Falls Opera House website, and I think tickets are going pretty well. I checked it a few weeks ago. It's just nice to have we went to Bob Marley this past weekend.
Yeah.
It's nice. I haven't been to a comedy show in a long time. It's just nice to, I don't know, to sit and laugh for an hour. You know, I mean, it seems like after everything the past few years, it's nice to sit and laugh for an hour. A reminder: we did have David Stearns in a few weeks ago, and just a reminder that a little night music is going to be happening down at Next Stage Arts in Putney. It's the Wild Goose Players, and that is going to be running November 11th, 12th, 13th. 19th and 20th. There's both matinee performances and evening performances. There's a specific masked one performance, so if someone isn't comfortable.
Really?
Yeah, I read that I was checking it out to find out how to get tickets. And to get tickets, you can just go to the wildgooseplayers.com website, and it'll show you how to get tickets, and you can get tickets. But I was reading that if
That's
someone
a
is
good thing
uncomfortable,
still.
he's made one of the performances, and I think it's a matinee. One of the performances is a specifically masked performance. So David's really good about doing a nice blend of that to accommodate folks. And then coming Thursday, December 1st, mark your calendars for the Holly Jolly Bellows Follies. And if you can say that consecutively 10 times, you're doing well. Again, tickets for that event you can get at the bellowsfallsoperahouse.com, and that is a benefit event for both the Bellows Falls Rotary and the Wild Goose Players. There'll be songs and holiday themes, and there's live auction, and there'll be silent auction items, and all of the proceeds are going to be split between the Rotary and the Wild Goose Players. The proceeds will help the Wild Goose Players produce more shows for you, and the proceeds will help the Rotary do the community project items that we do. And the big thing we have coming up is doing Christmas things, Christmas-related needs in the community, and that's what a lot of that funding will go towards. So that's
Great. Any Rotarians going to be performing?
Well, there's a rumor that there might be some Rotarians performing. We
I know that the Rotarians
exactly worked it out
probably have
yet.
the talent, but are shy.
We're very shy.
I know.
To get up on the big stage is scary.
Don't like to get out in public.
Not so much.
No.
So
Millie.
out in public.
Speaking about in public.
Out in public running.
You do this, but you don't want to be out in public.
It's a whole different thing.
Yeah, well, this is just like talking.
It is. Like, there's not that distraction of an actual audience.
There's not
that
people
would,
here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would not be a good thing.
How are you, Millie?
I'm good.
Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Good. first, where to start? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll talk a little bit about side judges, and then we'll talk about the election. How's that?
That sounds
So, you're a lifelong resident, right?
I am a lifelong resident. I live in Westminster. Actually, in the house I grew up in, three kids, all brought up in this area. One granddaughter, one wonderful granddaughter, fun. I'm a licensed, losing my words, licensed nursing assistant. I work in the school system presently, a master gardener.
Really?
I love to garden,
Yeah,
cook.
yeah.
I volunteer. Always been maybe in my blood. I don't know. I've done a lot of volunteering. Kids grew up when we were living at Kernhattan, so that was part of our life, and the schools. And now working when I'm not doing other things in the school system again at the Central Elementary School.
Oh, really?
So that's pretty interesting as a
Yeah.
nursing assistant, as a
Oh,
health,
cool. Yeah,
health
yeah.
assistant. Yeah.
That's
So
really important right now.
fun.
Yeah.
Kids are fun.
And then you're also connected with the Westminster government and the court system already, or?
I've recorded for a long time for the Westminster Select Board, volunteer with the Westminster Activities Committee, in and out of Westminster, just fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's my hometown, so you're
Yeah,
always
yeah.
interested in where you're paying your taxes and what the town is up to and doing. So, and I enjoy it. I love being out.
Well, it's so important to get volunteers to do these things, and it's so hard nowadays.
It's actually, recording is a paid position. It's not a lot, but it is hard.
Yeah.
People are busy, jobs, kids. Yeah, I remember.
So tell us about side judging. Or assistant judging? I keep calling it side judging, but not.
Is it technically interchangeable, or is there a difference?
It's pretty much the same. And the other thing that you asked me that I didn't say was
sorry.
I also work part-time. It's a part-time position as the Windham County Clerk. So I was appointed before I left Superior Court. A longtime clerk, Ann Patterson, left, and so I was appointed 2 years ago. I think this is my third year as the Windham County Clerk. So I also do that, and it gives me a little more experience in what a side judge.
What is that? I mean, I'm showing my naivete.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Windham County Clerk, some of your the taxes you pay go back out to Windham County to maintain. They just bought, Windham County just bought a brand new building on Ferry Road for the Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
For a long, long time, the Sheriff's Department was housed in Newfane.
Yeah.
A great old building, but not very efficient for the Sheriff's Department. So the county just, it's by statute that the county provides certain services for the sheriff, and they just bought that. I don't know if either one of you are familiar with it's on Ferry Road.
No.
It used to be connected with Vermont Yankee, I think.
No, but
So that's where the
I had
sheriff.
sort of heard they'd moved, but I hadn't. Yeah.
So is that down in Brattleboro? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's right. You turn right there by the light after you go by CNS.
Okay.
It's.
Oh, okay. Yes. I know what you mean. Okay.
So anyway, long story. I get off. Some of your tax dollars go. The state assesses, and some of your tax dollars go. The town pays Windham County to maintain the Sheriff's Department, or some of the Sheriff's Department, the Windham County Courthouse, to keep up the Windham County Courthouse. And
But that's the one in Newfane?
Newfane.
The older
Oh,
courthouse.
did I say Windham County? I
You
meant
did
the
say-
Newfane,
Yeah.
the historic
Okay.
Newfane Courthouse. And also now the building across the way, across the common where the Sheriff's Department was housed is another building that the county owns.
Okay.
So,
Just curious.
yeah.
So do you record do you record at the court? I mean, do you observe the current side judges doing their work now?
So
or-
I don't. At one point, I worked for about 4.5 years as a recorder and a clerk in Superior Court.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I became interested. To say it's an interesting job, it's a satisfying job, I think. Moves very quickly. You get to see firsthand. You're recording. You're taking notes. It's all recorded by like you record, it's all recorded digitally, but then you record notes and exhibits, and I did that for 4.5 years.
neat.
So firsthand experience watching side judges, a Superior Court judge, being involved in the process. It's shouldn't be, yeah, I don't know how else to say it. It's very interesting, very satisfactory.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
they don't have this system, so
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure. Like, the side judges or the assistant judges work with a judge.
It's a constitutional job in
Yeah.
Vermont. And there are two assistant judges that sit on either side of a side judge.
And they take the place of a jury then, or did they take? Are there still juries?
There are still juries, but assistant judges do not sit on jury cases.
Oh,
They
okay.
sit on family court cases, civil cases, relief from abuse, stalking.
Oh, okay.
There are limited cases that a side judge, and that's where that side judge comes from, on either side, the presiding judge. You have that.
Yeah.
Well, now it's easy to
You have
remember
the
now.
assistant
Yeah.
judge. So that's where, and a lot of people refer to it as a side judge. You take notes, you listen, you observe. For me, it seems like a support for the presiding judge. There's sometimes so much information
Right.
that goes on in court.
And then do you confer with the judge at some point and then give opinions about the case?
Usually at breaks, or
Yeah.
when the case is over, or if a court case goes on more than one day. I think presiding judges definitely rely on assistant judges for opinions, and sometimes the presiding judges aren't from the area. We have a couple now that are from Woodstock, White River. They don't know the community. They don't know lots of things about housing and what's going on. So I think they
Oh, it's
rely
important
on
for
people
them.
that are right from the community
Yeah.
or involved in the community.
Yeah, so like the assistant judges then give, if the judge is from out of, they can give a context as to what's going on, as opposed, so that the judge can then give a fair ruling in the context of Windham County.
Right.
Yeah.
Judges are the authority on the law. Assistant judges are just a support and.
Well, it's kind of like what it made me think of is, when you go to a doctor's appointment and they always say you should bring someone with you
To listen.
because you're getting a lot of information
Oh, that's
that
a good analogy.
that maybe either you don't want to hear, or it's just a lot of technical information, and you might not catch it all. And it's kind of interesting. I had no idea. So it sounds to me like that's a great system, because you have extra ears listening to what's happening.
Absolutely right.
And I'm sure like anything else right now, there's a lack of actual judges. If you say they're coming from other places,
Yeah.
they've got so much on their mind. So to be able to tune in 100% and pick up nuances, because I have a feeling there's a lot of nuances that come into judgments,
Sure.
that to have that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at one point when I was recording, I can remember one of the judges asking, where were the side judges? Because it was a case that was going to go up, and for whatever reason, maybe somebody was sick or had other responsibilities, but it had a case with a lot to it, and I think they really count on those, another set of ears or another
Yeah.
set of notes or just
Or
another
even just
opinion.
a different perspective.
Just looking at it,
A
right?
a really local perspective, and also sometimes just that different perspective can be like eye-opening, right?
Just to think about, or
Yeah.
sometimes a judge, a presiding judge might know the facts of a case, and then someone else might know something entirely different or have a different take on whether it's a landlord-tenant or, it could be.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting. I had no idea.
Yes, and so the level of the cases are of, they're not at the jury trial level, but they're at sort of a local dispute. I don't even know how to describe
We do,
it.
family.
Misdemeanor or not even that? Civil?
Family, civil, divorce, civil being landlord-tenant, sometimes foreclosures. They don't do small claims, though I've recorded small claims in probate. It's mostly family, civil, stalking, or relief from abuse, and anything that falls under a civil.
And does family include like custody issues?
We don't.
No.
We mostly do divorce cases.
Oh, okay.
I've never. There's usually family court in
Okay.
Brattleboro that does a judge and or a social worker that helps. We might hear custody things, or there might be disputes about children, or but it's not usually something that
Okay.
assistant judges get too involved in about who gets the child.
So what is the workload? Like, how many times a week does an assistant judge meet and work? Or
Depending on how civil cases. Civil is usually heard in Newfane at the courthouse, and a lot of family things are heard in Brattleboro. So I think I think Lamont Barnett was working about 32 hours, maybe a week, and you go back and forth between the two courthouses.
Right, but and then there's also prep time and all these other stuff that comes with
Right,
it.
and I think he has other, whether he's hearing divorces or, deciding on divorce cases, or I think he does other things with the court. I think he's had some training.
How many side judges are there in Windham County?
It's just two.
Just two.
Each county has two.
Each county has two,
Yeah.
and they're elected.
They're elected in the general election or in the election that's coming up
And they
November 8th.
serve for
4 years.
4 years.
So 4 years.
How, it seems, do they always come up at the same time so that there's a pair of, they don't alternate like
They don't.
every 2 years or to create that sort of overlap?
Which
No.
actually would be a good system that if you had one judge going out, you'd still have another judge
Experienced
that
judge
was
that would-
experienced.
yeah.
But it doesn't work like that.
No,
Everybody
that's-
runs at the same time. Yeah.
Ah, and you're running this year.
I
You're
am.
one of the 3
I
people
am.
running.
Yeah,
For the
yeah.
2 positions.
But I wasn't working for Superior Court, and someone said to me when Patty Duff resigned, someone said, "I think you'd be really good at this job," and I hadn't even crossed my mind, and I
Really?
thought
Oh,
it was
interesting.
just to get me think out of the box, and I thought I can do this.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy. I think the court system works. I enjoy being there, and I just,
Yeah.
that's how it started.
That's it. Well, that's a great. I didn't even ask. That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
For what qualities would you say make a good side judge?
Listening. I think you have to be open-minded. I think you have to listen. I think you have to be a good listener. A team player. You definitely are working with a presiding judge and another assistant judge. Overseeing the county budget, I think you're working with a clerk, a treasurer. There's a maintenance person that works for the county. Sheriff Anderson works for the county, also for the state, I think. But I think you have to collaborate and you have to be dependable.
Yeah, because if you're not there, then
You do. And the other thing I think is we're using, especially in Windham County, we're using, whether it's whatever, taxpayer money. I think you have to be accountable and transparent about what you're doing and the money you're spending. And I get the sense as I've been out there that a lot of people don't know about the Windham County budget, and that
I'll confess.
I
don't know at
I'm
all
on
about
that.
the
I'll
Windham
go over
County
that too.
budget.
right,
So
and that that the county just bought, that Windham County just bought from the assessed taxes in the town, new building on Ferry Road for the sheriff. I think there's a lot to it that
yeah,
So
people aren't aware of.
this is just a curiosity question, and I think I know the answer. So you have the main judge and then 2 side judges. How much influence do the side judges have? I mean, the main judge is the ultimate whatever, but how much
Absolutely.
influence can you exert?
Absolutely.
Like, say you both are in agreement and he's on a different page. How how much influence?
It's a really good question, and since I've never been in any of those meetings, I don't know that. I think if it's a matter of law, if it's just a matter of what you're hearing, you hear one thing, the judge hears something else. If it's a matter of law, then it's the presiding judge. Yeah. But if it's a matter of, I don't think that's what was meant or that what was said. It's what was said, not what we think might have been. There's always difference of opinion, you know.
It's still nice though that there is. I just didn't realize that there is that's option for discussion on difference of opinion, and I think that makes it. I would think that would make it a more fair ruling because there was a little bit of option for.
I would think so too.
For some discussion.
To talk about it, which is a good thing. Not, especially when you're dealing with people and their lives and big changes.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
So, one of the things you brought up, and it brings up a question for me, is the judge is the expert on law. Is it important for the side judges to have a knowledge of law, or is it better for them not to? Because then there wouldn't be second guessing the judge.
I think it's probably, and there are assistant judges throughout the state of Vermont that do have, there are lawyers that are administrators. But I almost think, and it's not a bad thing to know. I think it's more integrity and maybe your gut and just knowing something about, you know, how people are living and what they're going through, and that's just my opinion.
Well, no, that's why I asked. 'Cause, I mean, and to be honest, I would think that would be the better thing, because
it could be a clamor.
Too many cooks spoil the broth,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And if you got everybody thinking, well, that's not, you know, then.
Well, I think if you're not applying the legal filter to it, like if you're not always thinking law, legal filter, and I understand that's important too, but you're applying a more
Integrity, fairness,
human,
morals,
a more human, like you're going through, you're sending it through two different filters, then you get the benefit of both filters. What's the law, and then what is.
And there's two of us, there's two assistant judges plus the presiding judge. We might agree, we might differ, but that also is not a bad thing to have different opinions. And
Yeah, it's kind of like, not exactly, but kind of like having like a little mini jury almost. That
taking
can
the place
filter
of
it in that human way and not necessarily knowledge of the law. So I mean, it's probably good that you have a little knowledge, but then too much knowledge might get in the way. Does that make sense?
that, very well.
That happens all the time, doesn't it? Too much
Well,
knowledge.
yeah, that's what I think about that. That's too many cooks spoil the broth. You know,
Yeah.
if everybody thinks they know what they're doing and don't follow the assigned leader, then things can go awry.
So we are down to about 2 minutes. And Millie did not believe us that it would go quickly.
I did not. I
But it does
absolutely
really
did
go
not.
quickly.
So if you have any last minute things you want people to know before they go to the polls and why they should vote for you.
I'm very committed to being transparent, to letting people know, you know, what's going on with Windham County, to being dependable. I think I have really good experience. Not that I have all the knowledge in the world, I do not, but you know, never having been an assistant judge, but I think I have good experience. Whether it's town or community, it's volunteering, it's working with people, and not. I've always said to my kids, you know, pat yourself on the back. I think that I do a really good job.
Great.
And have the background to do that job.
That's
And
good.
the other thing is 2 minutes gone. And I'm also really interested, I'm really interested in the process and
Yeah.
making it work.
Well, I
so.
think just the way that you talked about how it's rewarding and you're kind of
Yeah.
excited about it. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go to a job that you love, then it's not a job.
Then
It's
it's fun,
reflective
yeah,
in what
yeah.
you're doing.
One of the first
Yeah.
things I wrote was, it's not a job if you really like it
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Do we need to put up some information on Millie in case you want to email her and ask her questions? I think we might have a slide or.
I think it did pop up at one
There,
point.
okay,
There it is.
there
Yep.
it is. I wasn't watching. I was
That's okay.
paying attention to this side. But anyway, Billy, thank you so much for
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me.
You
And
were
just
great.
reminding everybody
I
the
enjoyed
vote is November 8th.
8.
November 8th, right.
There are going to be 3 candidates on the ballot, but 2 people will get elected, because that confuses people sometimes too.
And if
Yeah.
you haven't received a ballot, you should have received a ballot from the town. They're distributed through the town clerk's office in your town. If you haven't received a ballot, you could reach out to your town clerk, or you can just ballot. If you're right, you have to be a registered voter. But that's a pretty simple process too, I think. You can also vote on November 8th.
Great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe you could come back after you're elected and fill us in on.
Maybe I will.
Right.
After I'm elected. Aren't you nice? You are so nice. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Well, that's it
bye.
for this week. We'll see you next week, and this has been The Feed.
Bye, community.
Take it easy.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty